All around the world, across different times and cultures, people keep building in circles. From ancient stone monuments to modern stadiums, the round form keeps showing up. It's not just about how these buildings look. It's about what they do, how they hold communities together, how they stand strong against nature, and how they reflect our deepest ideas about harmony and connection. Circles are both practical and symbolic, ancient and futuristic. Let's explore why this simple shape has never disappeared and why it keeps coming back again and again. The circle appears again and again in human history. Across continents and through many centuries, people have built and gathered around round shapes. This is not a coincidence. It reflects a deep, shared response to the challenges of living together, staying warm, and finding safety. The circle is a shape that feels natural, and early humans discovered its benefits without ever speaking to one another across oceans or deserts. In the earliest human settlements, the first round forms came from campfires. A fire is the heart of a group's survival. People naturally gathered around it in a circle so everyone could share its light and heat. In these gatherings, decisions were made, stories were told, and bonds were formed. The circle around the fire was not only practical, but also symbolic. Everyone faced inward, each person equally close to the flame and to each other. This pattern shaped how early communities thought about space and cooperation. Over time, the circle around the fire inspired the structures people built to protect themselves. As groups moved from temporary shelters to permanent homes, round forms often remained. A circle is easy to make using simple tools. With branches, stones, or packed earth, a round wall can rise steadily without sharp corners that require extra planning. It also holds heat better. In a cold climate, this matters. Wind flows smoothly around a circular structure, reducing drafts. For people living in harsh conditions, these advantages were clear, even if they did not know the science behind them. A circular house also allows people to face each other, much like they did around a fire. In this way, round homes reinforced social bonds and practical needs at the same time. One striking example comes from the Celtic roundhouses of the British Isles. These structures appeared as early as 800 BCE and lasted until the Roman conquest. Built with wattle and daub walls and thatched roofs, they could be large enough to hold entire families and livestock. The conical roof directed smoke upward, and the single doorway faced away from the prevailing wind. These choices show a deep understanding of local weather. Even though these houses were simple, they were well suited to the people's lives. The circle here was not decorative. It was a tool for survival and community. Far from Europe, Native American tribes developed their own circular shelters. The teepee, common among plains tribes, was a portable structure built for a nomadic life. Its cone shape made it stable in strong winds. It could be packed up and moved easily when the group followed bison herds. The hogan, used by the Navajo, was a more permanent round structure made of logs and earth. Like the Celtic roundhouse, it held warmth and provided space for family gatherings. The circular form also carried spiritual meaning, reflecting harmony with the natural world. These homes met both physical and cultural needs, showing how form and belief often come together. On the wide grasslands of Central Asia, the Mongolian yurt has served nomadic herders for centuries. A yurt's wooden frame and felt covering make it strong yet portable. Its round walls resist strong winds, and the central roof ring allows smoke to escape. The layout of a yurt has social rules built into it. The doorway faces south, and areas inside are divided by tradition. Even today, many Mongolian families live in yurts because they are perfectly adapted to the land and the way of life there. Again, the circle proves to be a timeless solution. In southern Africa, the rondavel shows another expression of the same idea. Built with stone or mud walls and topped with a thatched roof, the rondavel is common in rural areas. Its design helps keep the interior cool during the day and warm at night. Because the walls curve, they need fewer materials and less labor to build than a rectangular house. These practical benefits make the rondavel a smart choice in regions where resources are limited. Like the other round homes, it also creates a sense of closeness among those who live inside. These examples span continents and cultures. The Celtic farmer, the Navajo family, the Mongolian herder, and the African villager never met, yet they made similar choices. This pattern suggests something deep about human problem solving. When faced with basic needs, shelter, warmth, stability, people often arrive at the same answer. The circle offers structural strength, ease of construction, and efficiency with heat and materials. It also supports social life by bringing people together in shared space. Even without shared knowledge, different groups discovered the same solution. Imagine a small group of humans, thousands of years ago, building a shelter with only what they could find nearby. Straight lines require cutting and shaping. Corners are weak points that need extra work. A round wall rises naturally as people stack stones or weave branches. The roof can slope inward evenly, meeting in the middle like hands coming together. Through trial and error, groups saw what worked and what failed. Over time, these lessons became tradition, passed down through generations. In this way, the circle spread not through travel or trade, but through repeated discovery. This recurring form reminds us that human needs are universal. Though climates differ and cultures vary, the basic challenges of survival are the same. A roundhouse built by a Celtic family on a rainy hilltop shares its logic with a yurt on a windy plain, or a rondavel under the hot African sun. The circle endures because it works. It is a quiet proof of how people, separated by distance and time, can think alike when faced with the same questions. The circle has always carried a special weight in the human imagination. Long before cities or written language, people saw the circle as more than just a shape. It had no beginning and no end, suggesting ideas of eternity and connection. Looking at the sun, the moon, and the horizon, early humans found symbols of life that were round. This deep link between the circle and the natural world gave rise to sacred places built in circular forms. Across different lands and times, people shaped stone, earth, and wood into rings that held spiritual meaning. These spaces were not only for shelter, but for worship, ceremony, and connection to forces beyond the everyday world. One of the most famous examples is Stonehenge in what is now southern England. Built between 3000 and 2000 BCE, Stonehenge began as a simple earthwork circle. Over centuries, it grew into a complex monument of standing stones. The stones form a precise pattern, and some align with key points in the solar calendar. On the summer solstice, the sun rises in direct line with the heel stone, a sight that would have been dramatic for the people who gathered there. This suggests that Stonehenge was used to track the passage of time and the turning of the seasons. It may have helped early farmers plan when to plant and harvest crops, but Stonehenge was more than a practical tool. It also served as a place for rituals and gatherings. The effort required to move and raise the massive stones shows that entire communities worked together with shared purpose. The circular design allowed people to stand around a central focus, reinforcing a sense of unity and connection. Even now, walking within the stone circle creates a powerful feeling of being inside a boundary where the ordinary rules of space and time feel different. Far older than Stonehenge, the site of Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey challenges our understanding of early religion. Built around 9600 BCE, it predates the development of farming and permanent villages. Here, people carved huge stone pillars and arranged them in circles. Many of the pillars are decorated with carvings of animals such as foxes, snakes, and birds. Unlike later temples, there is no sign of everyday life at the site. No homes or fields surround it. This suggests that people traveled from far away to take part in ceremonies here. The scale of the work required careful planning and cooperation among groups that otherwise lived in small, scattered bands. This makes Göbekli Tepe the earliest known monumental ritual space. It shows that organized religion may have come before the rise of settled towns, reversing old ideas about how civilization began. The circular layout of the enclosures created a shared sacred space, with each pillar facing inward. This design encouraged participants to focus on the center, the place of ritual action, while also seeing one another as part of a whole. the circle's power comes partly from its symbolic meanings. A line without end suggests eternity and the endless cycles of birth, death, and renewal. Many cultures have seen the circle as a model of harmony. In nature, cycles repeat: the seasons, the phases of the moon, the growth of plants and animals. The circle reflects this order, showing how all things connect. In many belief systems, the circle also represents divine perfection. It has no flaws, no sharp edges or breaks. For ancient builders, creating a circle was a way to honor the gods or to reflect the perfection they believed existed in the heavens. Even today, circular spaces often feel balanced and peaceful because they echo these ideas. As human societies grew more complex, their sacred buildings became more elaborate. In ancient Greece, temples were often rectangular, but circular structures called tholoi also appeared. These round buildings served both religious and civic purposes. Their design allowed worshippers to move smoothly around a central altar, reinforcing the sense of continuous flow. The Romans adopted and expanded on this idea. The Pantheon in Rome, built around 118 to 128 CE, remains one of the most striking circular temples ever created. Its great dome, with a central opening to the sky, gives the impression of standing under the heavens. Light pours through the opening and moves across the space as the day passes, linking the human world to the cosmos. The perfect geometry of the Pantheon reflects Roman ideals of harmony and power, showing how architecture could express spiritual as well as political meaning. In India, the Buddhist stupa developed as another form of sacred circle. A stupa is a dome-shaped structure built to hold relics of the Buddha or other important figures. People do not enter the stupa but walk around it in a ritual called circumambulation. This movement echoes the circular shape and represents the endless path of life and enlightenment. The design of the stupa reflects core Buddhist ideas. The dome represents the world, while the central pillar suggests the axis linking earth and sky. Over time, stupas spread across Asia, influencing other religious architecture, including pagodas and shrines. Their form shows how a simple circle can carry deep layers of meaning. In Christian Europe, many early churches and cathedrals also used circular designs. The round church, or rotunda, became popular for baptisteries and memorial structures. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem includes a famous circular space built around what is believed to be the tomb of Jesus. In these buildings, the circle symbolized eternity and the unbroken nature of divine grace. Later, as Gothic cathedrals rose with their soaring spires and pointed arches, circular forms remained in features like rose windows. These windows, with their intricate patterns of colored glass, reflected the harmony and order of the divine. Standing inside such a space, surrounded by light and color, worshippers could feel part of a greater cosmic design. Through these many examples, the circle appears again and again as a sacred form. Whether carved into the earth at Göbekli Tepe, raised in stone at Stonehenge, shaped into domes and stupas, or traced in stained glass, the circle expresses ideas that reach beyond any one culture. It invites people to gather, to focus, and to imagine their place in the vast order of the universe. By turning space into a continuous loop, free of edges and divisions, the circle creates a sense of wholeness. In every era, builders have drawn on this simple shape to bridge the human and the divine. When people gather in a circle, something changes in how they see one another. In a circle, no one sits at the head of the table or hides in the back row. Everyone faces inward and can look directly at everyone else. This simple arrangement creates a sense of balance and equality. Eye contact flows freely. No person has a better view than another, and no one is pushed to the edges. In this way, the circle shapes not just the space, but the way people interact. It encourages listening and sharing, making it a natural setting for decisions and collaboration. Even without formal rules, the circle suggests that every voice has value. The connection between circular space and shared power appears in many parts of the world. Among the Haudenosaunee, also known as the Iroquois Confederacy, councils often gathered around a central fire. Leaders from different nations sat in a ring, each with equal standing. The council fire symbolized unity. and the circular seating reinforced the idea that decisions should serve the whole group. The longhouse, a central structure in Haudenosaunee life, reflected this principle. Though long and narrow, its internal spaces were organized so that families could gather around fires in a pattern that encouraged communication and cooperation. The physical design of the longhouse and the council fire worked together to support a political system built on balance and consensus. When delegates from the various nations met, they knew that no single voice would dominate, and the circle itself reminded them of that promise. In ancient Greece, the circle took on a civic role. Early democratic assemblies in Athens used open-air spaces where citizens could gather to debate and vote. While these spaces were not always perfect circles, their curved forms allowed large groups to see and hear one another. In smaller councils, the seating often formed a complete ring. This layout made it harder for any one person to claim authority by position alone. The physical shape of the meeting space matched the ideals of shared power and direct participation. A similar pattern appeared in Rome, where local councils and senates sometimes met in circular or semicircular chambers. The famous Roman Forum itself, though irregular in shape, included circular gathering points for discussion and ceremony. These spaces supported the flow of information and decision-making, showing how architecture could shape political life. Markets and guild halls in medieval Europe also reveal how roundness supported community interaction. Many towns grew up around a central open space. When that space took a circular form, it allowed merchants, craftsmen, and citizens to meet on equal footing. Stalls and meeting points could be arranged in a ring so that trade and talk moved easily in all directions. The circular design also made it simple to gather people for public announcements, festivals, or disputes. In a time when written communication was limited, being able to see and hear clearly in a shared space mattered greatly. Guild halls, where skilled workers gathered to set rules and train apprentices, sometimes included round chambers or meeting rooms. These circular rooms helped create a sense of fairness and unity among members, reinforcing the idea that each person's skills and knowledge contributed to the whole. Roman amphitheaters stand as some of the most dramatic examples of round communal spaces. Built for public events, they served as civic and cultural centers. The most famous, the Colosseum in Rome, could hold tens of thousands of people. Its oval shape ensured that everyone had a view of the action, whether it was a gladiator contest, a theatrical performance, or a public ceremony. The design encouraged a shared experience, uniting spectators in a common focus, while the events themselves often reflected the power of the state. The physical form of the amphitheater created a space where individuals became part of a larger whole. Smaller amphitheaters across the Roman world served similar purposes, linking communities through shared rituals of entertainment and civic pride. The round shape of these arenas was not just practical, but symbolic. In a circular structure, there is no front or back, no inside corner where a person can hide. The space itself draws everyone toward the center. This focus mirrors the way a community looks inward to its values and outward to its shared future. In Roman times, the amphitheater also expressed the reach of imperial authority. By building similar structures in distant provinces, Rome extended not only its control, but also its cultural identity. A person attending an event in a provincial amphitheater experienced the same kind of space as someone in the capital. The circle tied far-flung communities together through a common visual and social form. Imagine a crowd entering an ancient amphitheater on the day of a festival. People come from farms, towns, and distant villages. As they move through the entrances, they rise into the tiered seating. From any seat, they can see the arena below, perfectly framed by the oval walls. Conversations flow across rows as neighbors and strangers greet each other. When the performance begins, the focus shifts to the center, but the audience remains connected, each person aware of the others. In this way, the building turns a collection of individuals into a single body, at least for the duration of the event. The shared experience strengthens bonds and reinforces the sense of belonging to a larger community. The circle's role in politics and society continues because it speaks to basic human needs. People want to see and be seen, to hear and be heard. A circular arrangement makes that possible. In small gatherings, it creates intimacy and equality. In large gatherings, it creates unity and shared focus. Whether around a council fire, in a medieval market square, or in the vast stands of a Roman amphitheater, the same principles apply. The shape of the space influences the shape of the conversation and the shape of the community itself. Over time, this simple form has carried complex ideas about power, cooperation, and state, and identity. By standing or sitting in a circle, people make a statement about how they wish to live together and how they see themselves in relation to one another. The circle is not only a symbol of unity or a shape with spiritual meaning, it is also a practical solution to physical challenges. Long before modern engineering, builders understood through experience that round structures worked better in many environments. The advantages of circular forms appear in strength, material use, and energy efficiency. These benefits explain why so many early shelters and monumental buildings share the same basic shape. Even when cultures were far apart, a round structure distributes weight evenly. In a square or rectangular building, stress gathers at the corners. These points become weak spots where cracks can form or walls can fail. In a circular building, the force spreads smoothly along the entire wall. This makes the structure more stable and allows it to bear greater loads without collapsing. Early builders did not need to know the physics to see the results. A circular wall stood firm, while a square one required extra reinforcement. This even distribution of weight was especially important for buildings made of earth, stone, or ice, where sharp angles were difficult to shape and maintain. Circular buildings also resist natural forces better than angular ones. Strong winds flow around curved walls instead of slamming into flat surfaces. This reduces pressure and helps the building stay upright during storms. In earthquake-prone areas, the lack of corners prevents sudden breaks. The entire structure can flex and absorb movement without shattering. This resilience made round shelters ideal for regions with harsh weather or shifting ground. Nomadic peoples, in particular, valued designs that could survive unpredictable conditions without constant repair. Building materials were often scarce and hard to work with. Early builders had to use what was at hand, whether wood, stone, grass, or animal skins. A circular structure uses fewer materials than a square one of the same area. The curved wall encloses more space while requiring less length. This efficiency meant less cutting, hauling, and shaping. For people without metal tools, every step saved time and effort. The circular form matched the skills and resources available, allowing communities to build sturdy shelters quickly and with minimal waste. The tipi of the North American Plains tribes shows how these ideas worked in practice. A tipi is made of long poles arranged in a cone, covered with hides or fabric. Its shape stands firm against the strong winds of open grasslands. The sloping sides guide the wind around the structure instead of catching it like a sail. Inside, the round floor plan provides even space for sleeping and working. Because the design uses a small number of poles and coverings, it can be packed up and moved with ease. For people who followed bison herds, this mobility was essential. The circular form allowed for both stability and portability, solving two problems at once. Energy efficiency was another key advantage. In cold climates, a round structure holds heat better than an angular one. With no corners, warm air circulates evenly. The curved walls reduce drafts and keep the interior temperature stable. Smaller surface area relative to volume means less heat escapes. This is why many northern shelters, such as igloos, take a circular or dome shape. An igloo built from blocks of snow traps warmth from body heat and a small fire. Snow itself is a good insulator, and the curved walls prevent sudden collapses. The result is a shelter that stays surprisingly warm, even in freezing conditions. The igloo is a clear example of form following function, where every feature serves a purpose. In hot, dry regions, the circle also helps with cooling and ventilation. Openings placed high in the center allow hot air to rise and escape, while cooler air enters from below. The shape encourages airflow, creating a natural system of temperature control without the need for chimneys or mechanical devices. Many traditional desert homes use this principle, relying on design rather than technology to keep interiors comfortable. By studying the movement of air and heat, early builders developed solutions perfectly suited to their environments. The practical advantages of circular structures extended to construction methods. Without modern tools, shaping straight beams and precise corners was difficult. A round building allowed builders to work with natural forms, such as curved branches or rough stones. The materials could fit together without heavy cutting or carving. This simplicity meant that entire communities, including people without specialized skills, could take part in building. The process itself became a shared activity, reinforcing social bonds as well as physical shelter. Consider the experience of constructing a roundhouse in an ancient village. Families gather materials from the surrounding land. Children collect branches, while adults cut thicker poles and dig a shallow foundation. The walls rise steadily as people weave the branches together, filling gaps with mud or clay. Because there are no corners to align, the work flows smoothly. Each person can see the whole structure taking shape, and adjustments are easy to make. When the roof goes on, the conical or domed form sheds rain and snow, protecting the interior. The finished house provides a safe, warm space built entirely by human hands using local resources. Even large-scale architecture benefited from circular designs. Ancient stone towers, grain storage bins, and defensive structures often took round forms. The same principles that helped small shelters applied to bigger projects. Even weight distribution allowed taller walls without collapse. Curved surfaces deflected battering from siege engines or heavy weather. These practical qualities made the circle a reliable choice for both daily life and public works. The link between form and function is especially clear in the way different cultures solved similar problems. In the Arctic, the igloo's rounded dome answers the challenge of extreme cold and scarce materials. On the windy plains, the teepee provides a stable yet portable home. In deserts, round mud brick houses manage heat and airflow. These solutions arose independently, yet they share the same basic geometry. This repeated discovery shows that the circle is not just a cultural preference, but a natural response to physical needs. Early builders may not have had words like aerodynamics or thermal efficiency, but they observed cause and effect. A round house stayed standing while a square one blew down. A circular roof kept the heat in while a flat one leaked warmth. Through trial and error, people refined these designs until they fit their environments perfectly. Over time, the knowledge became tradition, passed down through generations. Each new structure carried both the wisdom of the past and the practical demands of the present. The circle's engineering strengths remain relevant even today. Modern architects still use domes, curved walls, and circular layouts for strength and efficiency. Whether in a simple hut or a massive stadium, the same principles apply. Weight spreads evenly, winds flow smoothly, heat and air move in predictable ways. These timeless qualities link the work of ancient builders to contemporary design, showing that the lessons of the past still guide us. When large groups gather to watch a performance or a competition, the shape of the space matters. A circular or curved layout gives everyone a clear view and brings focus to the center. This design works because people naturally turn toward a single point of action. In a circle, no seat is hidden behind another. The audience forms a complete ring around the event, creating a shared experience where every person can see and feel part of the moment. This is why arenas, theaters, and stadiums across history often take round or semi-round forms. The circle is not only pleasing to the eye, but also practical, shaping sound and sightlines in ways that connect thousands of people. Sound travels differently in a circular space. In an open field, voices scatter and fade. In a round or semi-round structure, the shape helps gather and project sound. Ancient builders noticed this effect long before modern science explained it. When performers stood in the center of a curved space, their voices carried to the farthest seats. This natural amplification made it possible for large audiences to hear without mechanical devices. The same principle applied to music, speeches, and even the roar of a crowd. In a circular theater, sound flows smoothly, linking the performers and spectators in a single shared atmosphere. The Greeks were among the first to master this idea. Greek theaters were often built into hillsides, with rows of seats rising in a semicircle around a central stage called the orchestra. This layout gave every spectator a clear line of sight while also enhancing sound. A single actor's voice could reach thousands without strain. The curved seating encouraged a feeling of unity. Each person was part of a whole, watching and listening with everyone else. These theaters were more than entertainment venues. They were civic spaces where dramas explored questions of morality, politics, and human nature. The shape of the theater supported this purpose by ensuring that the experience was shared equally by all present. The Romans expanded on these ideas. They built theaters and amphitheaters not only in Rome, but throughout their empire. The Colosseum, completed in 80 CE, remains the most famous example. Its oval design allowed up to 50,000 spectators to gather around a central arena. Every seat offered a view of the action, whether gladiatorial combat, animal hunts, or grand public spectacles. The tiered seating was carefully planned so that movement in and out of the building was smooth. Arches and corridors guided the flow of people, preventing congestion even during massive events. The Colosseum's design balanced spectacle with function. Its form demonstrated Roman engineering skill while also reinforcing the power of the state. The circular shape symbolized completeness, drawing the population into a single unified body focused on the center. Smaller amphitheaters across the Roman world followed similar patterns. In towns far from the capital, these structures served as community hubs. They hosted not only games, but also public meetings and ceremonies. The circle brought people together physically and symbolically. Standing inside such a space, one could feel connected to the larger empire through shared experiences and familiar architecture. The round form thus linked distant provinces with Rome itself, creating a network of cultural unity through design. The same principles guide modern stadiums and arenas. While building materials and technologies have changed, the basic need remains. Thousands of people must see and hear clearly. Circular and oval shapes solve this problem. They allow designers to arrange seats so that every spectator faces the central field or stage. Tiered levels rise outward, ensuring that even the farthest seats maintain a line of sight. Sound systems now replace natural acoustics, but the underlying layout still supports focus and flow. Consider Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, one of the largest stadiums in the world. Built to hold around 88,000 spectators, it follows the same logic as ancient amphitheaters. Its oval shape wraps the crowd around the field, uniting them in a single shared space. The design manages both sight and movement. Entrances and corridors direct the flow of people efficiently, preventing bottlenecks during major events. The stadium has hosted historic matches, including World Cup finals, where the energy of the crowd becomes part of the spectacle. The circular form intensifies this energy by surrounding the action completely, turning sound and emotion inward toward the center. Modern arenas for sports and concerts echo these ideas on different scales. Whether it is a basketball arena, a football stadium, or an open-air concert venue, the layout often curves around a central focus. This design reflects both human perception and practical needs. A rectangular space would leave some spectators with poor views or disconnected from the event. By curving the seating, designers solve this problem and create a sense of inclusion. Even at events where tens of thousands attend, each person feels connected to the whole. The circle also plays a role in safety and logistics. In large gatherings, movement must be controlled. Curved corridors and radial pathways allow people to enter and exit smoothly. This was true in the Colosseum, where Roman engineers built complex passageways beneath the seats. It remains true today, where modern codes require safe and efficient crowd management. The geometry of the circle supports this need by guiding flow naturally toward multiple exits. Imagine arriving at a modern stadium for a major match. As you approach, the structure rises around you like a vast ring. You move through an entrance and climb a series of ramps or stairs. Each turn brings you into view of the field below. When you find your seat, you realize that no matter where you sit, the action remains centered and clear. Around you, thousands of others share the same perspective. When the game begins, the cheers rise in waves, amplified by the shape of the building. The experience feels collective because the design makes it so. The circle transforms individual spectators into a single audience. Even theaters built for smaller performances benefit from curved layouts. A semicircular seating plan brings viewers closer to the stage and to each other. This intimacy strengthens the connection between performer and audience. From ancient Greek tragedies to modern plays, this basic form has endured because it works. The semicircle draws attention inward while allowing for expression outward. It balances openness with focus, making it ideal for storytelling and shared emotion. The persistence of circular and curved public spaces across time shows how form and function align. Ancient builders discovered through observation what modern architects now calculate with precision. The circle gathers people, directs their senses, and manages their movement. It creates fairness of sight and sound while reinforcing the feeling of being part of something larger. Whether in stone, concrete, or steel, the same shape continues to serve the same purpose. From hillside theaters to the Colosseum to today's massive stadiums, the circle remains at the heart of public gatherings, linking past and present through design. The dome is the peak of circular design and architecture. It rises above a space like a sky captured in stone or steel. For centuries, builders have turned to the dome when they wanted to create a structure that felt both powerful and serene. A dome is more than a roof. It's a symbol and a technical achievement. Its form suggests the heavens, while its structure shows mastery over weight and balance. Across cultures and eras, domes have marked sacred spaces, civic buildings, and modern experiments in design. The Pantheon in Rome stands as one of the earliest and most influential domes. Built around 118 to 128 CE, it was dedicated to all Roman gods. The dome stretches over a vast circular hall, perfectly proportioned so that its width matches its height. At the center is the oculus, a round opening that lets in light and air. This feature has both practical and spiritual meaning. The oculus reduces weight at the highest point, keeping the structure stable. At the same time, it creates a moving circle of light that travels across the interior as the sun moves. Standing inside the Pantheon, a visitor can see the sky framed by stone. This connection between earth and sky gave worshippers a sense of the divine order above them. The building's scale and harmony reinforced Roman ideals of balance, unity, and power. Even today, the Pantheon feels timeless because its design speaks to universal human experiences. The success of the Roman dome spread through the ancient world. When the Byzantine Empire rose, its architects adapted and expanded on the idea. The Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, now Istanbul, shows how the dome could become even more ambitious. Completed in 537 CE, its massive dome seems to float above the space below. A system of arches and semi-domes supports its weight, making it appear lighter than it really is. This illusion adds to its spiritual effect. Worshippers standing beneath it felt surrounded by light and open space, as though they were standing under the heavens themselves. Byzantine domes often included intricate mosaics that reinforced religious stories and symbols. The dome became not just a roof, but a canvas for sacred art. Islamic architecture also embraced the dome, using it to crown mosques and palaces. In places like the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem or the great mosques of Persia and India, the dome became a sign of divine presence. Its rounded form echoed the perfection of the universe as described in Islamic thought. The interiors often included geometric patterns that radiated outward, emphasizing harmony and order. From the outside, the dome marked a building as important to both faith and community. Minarets and courtyards might vary in style, But the dome remained a constant element linking diverse regions through shared design. The symbolism of the dome draws from its shape. A circle represents eternity because it has no beginning or end. When that circle rises into 3 dimensions, it creates a space that feels infinite. Standing beneath the dome, people often look upward. The curve suggests the sky, while the central point above represents a place of unity or divine focus. This makes domes ideal for religious structures, where the building itself must express beliefs about the cosmos and the sacred. Even in secular buildings, domes carry these associations. A government hall or museum with a dome signals ideals of harmony, completeness, and shared human purpose. Creating such a structure requires skill and innovation. A dome walks by spreading weight evenly along its curve. Instead of pressing straight down, the force flows outward and downward at the same time. This balance allows for large open spaces without internal supports. In ancient times, builders relied on thick walls and buttresses to handle these forces. Over time, engineers developed more refined systems. The use of ribs, arches, and pendentives allowed domes to grow taller and wider while appearing lighter. The challenge was always the same: how to create a sense of openness while keeping the structure stable. Each culture found solutions that fit its materials and techniques, from stone and brick to steel and concrete. Modern technology opened new possibilities for dome construction. In the 20th century, Buckminster Fuller introduced the geodesic dome, a design made from a network of triangles. This system spreads weight evenly across the structure while using minimal materials. The result is both strong and lightweight. Geodesic domes can cover large areas without internal columns, making them useful for everything from sports arenas to greenhouses. Fuller saw his design as more than just practical. He believed it could help solve global problems by providing affordable housing and efficient buildings. Many experimental communities and environmental projects adopted his ideas, using domes to explore sustainable living. The geodesic dome influenced modern architecture in both form and philosophy. Its efficiency appealed to those concerned with resource use. Its visual impact challenged traditional ideas of what buildings should look like. At events like World's Fairs, these domes symbolized innovation and forward thinking. They also continued the ancient tradition of linking the circular form to ideals of harmony and unity. While the materials and methods were new, the underlying symbolism remained familiar. A dome still suggested a complete and balanced world, just as it had in Roman temples or Byzantine churches. Consider the experience of standing under different domes. In the Pantheon, the stone walls and oculus create a feeling of permanence and connection to the past. In the Hagia Sophia, light filters through windows so that the dome seems to hover like a cloud. In a modern geodesic structure, the repeating triangles form a pattern that feels both natural and futuristic. Each space evokes awe, but in different ways. The shared element is the curve overhead, uniting those who stand beneath it in a common experience. Whether the material is marble, brick, or metal, the effect remains powerful. Domes continue to shape the skylines of cities around the world. They top capitol buildings, sports arenas, and places of worship. In each case, they serve both practical and symbolic roles. A dome shelters a vast interior without columns, allowing crowds to gather freely. At the same time, it sends a message about the values of the society that built it. The circle at its base and the curve rising above suggest ideas of unity, order, and aspiration. From ancient Rome to the modern era, the dome has remained a bridge between human ambition and the forces of nature. Through careful design, it turns heavy materials into something that feels weightless and eternal. In doing so, it continues the story of circular architecture, showing how a simple form can hold deep meaning and complex engineering in perfect balance. Across the world, people have used circular architecture to solve the needs of daily life. While the circle often appears for similar reasons, each culture adapts it to its own environment, resources, and traditions. The results show how a single form can express many different ways of living. From the fortified roundhouses of rural China to the simple, sustainable huts of southern Africa and the portable homes of Central Asian nomads, circular buildings reflect both practical design and deep cultural meaning. In the mountains and valleys of Fujian province in southeastern China, the Hakka people developed a remarkable type of communal building known as the tulo. These massive structures rise several stories high, forming an enclosed circle with a single entrance. The outer wall is built of packed earth, sometimes mixed with stones and timber for extra strength. At its thickest point, the wall can measure 6 feet across, providing insulation and protection. Inside, wooden balconies ring a central open courtyard. Individual family units line the walls, while the shared space in the middle serves for meetings, celebrations, and daily activities. A tulo was not just a hole, but a small village under one roof. It allowed an extended family or even multiple families to live together in safety and harmony. The history of the tulo reflects both necessity and ingenuity. During times of conflict, bandits and rival groups threatened rural communities. The circular layout created a strong defensive structure. With only one gate to guard and no exposed corners, it was difficult for attackers to breach. The height of the walls gave defenders a clear view of the surrounding land. At the same time, the design fostered cooperation. Families worked together to maintain the building, raise children, and manage resources. The tulo became a symbol of unity and resilience. Even today, many are still occupied, standing as living examples of architecture that meets both physical and social needs. The materials used to build a tulo came directly from the surrounding landscape. Earth, clay, and sand were mixed with water and tamped down in layers to form solid walls. Timber provided support for the inner framework and floors. The builders relied on simple tools but sophisticated techniques, passing down knowledge through generations. The result was a structure that could last for centuries. In the humid climate of Fujian, the thick walls kept interiors cool in summer and warm in winter. The circular form helped air circulate through the central courtyard, creating a comfortable living environment despite limited technology. Every part of the design grew from close observation of nature and a deep understanding of community life. In a very different setting, the rondavel has long been a common home across southern Africa. The word comes from the Afrikaans for round, and it describes both the shape and the simplicity of these small houses. A rondavel typically has walls made of mud or clay mixed with straw. The roof is thatched with grass, sloping down in the cone to shed rain. The circular walls are easy to build using locally gathered materials, and the shape provides strength against wind. A single doorway and small windows keep the interior shaded and cool during the heat of the day. At night, the thick walls help retain warmth. These natural features make the rondavel well suited to the climate without the need for modern systems. The construction of a rondavel is a communal effort. Families and neighbors come together to gather materials and raise the structure. Because the design is simple and does not require advanced tools, many people can take part. This process strengthens social bonds while ensuring that everyone has shelter. The building techniques have remained largely unchanged for centuries because they work so well. Even as modern materials become available, many communities continue to build rondavels, sometimes blending traditional methods with concrete or metal roofing for extra durability. Culturally, the rondavel represents sustainability and connection to the land. Its materials return to the earth when the building is no longer used. The round shape reflects harmony with natural cycles. It also suits the patterns of daily life, with families gathering in a shared space at the center. The simplicity of the design makes it flexible. A single rondavel can serve as a home, storage space, or meeting place depending on need. In rural villages, clusters of rondavels often form small compounds, each circle linked to others by pathways and shared work areas. This layout encourages cooperation and mutual support, showing how architecture can reflect social structure. Far to the north, on the wide steppes of Central Asia, nomadic herders developed the yurt, a portable round dwelling. For people who move seasonally with their livestock, a permanent structure would not be practical. The yurt solves this problem through a design that is both strong and easy to transport. Its frame consists of wooden lattice walls connected by a series of poles that meet at a central ring. Felt made from sheep's wool covers the frame, providing insulation against extreme temperatures. Ropes and bands hold the structure together, and the entire yurt can be assembled or taken down in a matter of hours. The round shape of the yurt offers many advantages. It stands firm against strong winds that sweep across open plains. The curved walls deflect gusts instead of resisting them, preventing damage. Inside, the circular layout creates an even distribution of heat from a central stove or fire. The roof ring acts as a vent, allowing smoke to escape while letting in light. This natural ventilation keeps the interior comfortable in both winter and summer. The design also makes efficient use of space, with sleeping areas and storage arranged around the edges and the center kept open for cooking and socializing. Yurts hold deep cultural meaning for the nomadic groups who use them, such as Mongolians and Kazakhs. The doorway usually faces south, following tradition and spiritual beliefs. The interior is divided according to customs that reflect family roles and hospitality. Because the yurt can be moved, it supports a way of life that values flexibility and adaptation. Even as some nomads settle in permanent villages, the yurt remains a symbol of cultural identity. Modern versions may use synthetic materials, but the basic form has changed little over thousands of years because it continues to meet the needs of its people. These three examples show how the circle takes different forms in different settings. The Hakatulo protects and unites a large community behind thick walls. The African rondavel provides sustainable shelter using simple, natural materials. The Central Asian yurt offers mobility and strength on a vast, windy landscape. In each case, the circular design grows out of specific conditions. The materials reflect what is available. The techniques fit the tools and skills of the builders. The symbolism reflects cultural values. Though separated by geography and history, these structures share a common logic. The circle creates a space that is strong, efficient, and deeply connected to human needs. Through these buildings, we can see how form, function, and culture come together in a shape as old as human settlement itself. Round architecture has returned in recent decades, driven by new priorities and technologies. While modern cities are filled with sharp angles and straight lines, designers are looking again at the circle as a way to create efficient, sustainable, and human-centered spaces. This revival connects ancient wisdom with contemporary needs, showing that the round form still has a role in solving today's challenges. One major influence on this movement is the tiny house trend. As housing costs rise and urban space grows scarce, many people have turned to smaller homes that make better use of limited resources. A circular structure naturally fits this goal. It encloses more usable space with less wall length than a square or rectangle, which means fewer materials are needed. Inside, the lack of corners creates a sense of openness, even in a compact footprint. For people living in tiny homes, every inch matters. A round layout offers flexibility in arranging furniture and movement. Some modern builders have adapted traditional designs, such as yurts or round cabins, to create portable, affordable living spaces that meet modern building codes while keeping the benefits of circular design. Eco-conscious design has also played a key role. As awareness of environmental issues grows, architects are rethinking how buildings interact with the natural world. Round structures tend to blend more easily into landscapes. Their curved forms follow the flow of the terrain rather than cutting against it. This reduces environmental disruption during construction. Circular buildings also lend themselves to passive energy strategies. A dome or roundhouse retains heat efficiently in cold climates and promotes natural airflow in warm ones. These qualities reduce the need for artificial heating and cooling, lowering energy use and costs. In an age when reducing carbon footprints is critical, these advantages have gained new importance. Technological advances have made it easier to build round structures at scale. Computer modeling allows architects to design complex curves with precision. Modern materials, from lightweight composites to reinforced concrete, provide strength without massive weight. Prefabrication techniques make it possible to create curved panels and components in factories, then transport and assemble them quickly on site. These innovations have opened the door for circular architecture to move beyond small experimental projects into mainstream construction. What was once labor-intensive and expensive can now be done efficiently and affordably. The Roundhouse Works in London offers a striking example of how the circle has been reimagined for modern use. Built as a creative center for young people, the building uses a circular plan to foster collaboration and openness. The central area acts as a shared space for performances and events, while surrounding rooms provide areas for workshops and study. The design reflects the building's purpose, to bring people together in a supportive, connected environment. By using a round layout, the architects created a physical expression of these values. The structure also incorporates sustainable features such as natural lighting and energy-efficient systems, showing how old forms can meet new environmental standards. In a very different context, the 360 house by the Dutch firm 123DV demonstrates how circular design can serve luxury living. This modern home uses sweeping curves to frame views of the surrounding landscape. The interior flows without the interruption of corners, creating a seamless experience of space. While it embraces ancient design principles, the house uses cutting-edge materials and technology. Large glass panels bring in natural light, while advanced insulation keeps energy use low. The 360 house shows that circular architecture can appeal not only for practical or ecological reasons, but also for beauty and comfort. It bridges past and present, combining the timeless appeal of the circle with the demands of contemporary life. Circular forms have also proven valuable in disaster-prone areas. Prefabricated ecodomes are now being deployed as emergency shelters after earthquakes, hurricanes, and other crises. Their shape makes them structurally stable, able to resist strong winds and shifting ground. Because the pieces are lightweight and modular, they can be shipped quickly and assembled by untrained workers. These shelters provide immediate safety while also supporting long-term recovery. Some are designed to be expanded or adapted as needs change, turning temporary relief into permanent housing. This flexibility mirrors the adaptability of traditional round dwellings such as yurts and igloos, updated with modern materials like recycled plastics or reinforced textiles. The environmental benefits of round architecture go beyond energy savings. By using fewer materials and producing less waste, circular buildings have a smaller carbon footprint from the start. Their compact forms require less land clearing and foundation work, preserving natural ecosystems. Many modern circular designs integrate renewable energy systems directly into their structure. Solar panels can follow the curve of a dome, capturing light throughout the day. Wind turbines can be placed around the site without disrupting the building's form. Rainwater collection systems often fit neatly into central openings or surrounding gutters. These features turn the building into part of a closed-loop system, reducing dependence on external resources. Natural harmony is another advantage. Circular buildings often sit more comfortably within their surroundings, whether in forests, deserts, or urban parks. Their flowing lines echo patterns found in nature, from shells and seeds to the paths of rivers. This visual connection can reduce the psychological impact of construction, helping people feel that a building belongs in its environment rather than intruding upon it. In some projects, architects have gone further by using living roofs, native landscaping, and recycled materials. These choices make the structure not only efficient, but also integrated into the local ecosystem. A round house with a grass-covered roof, for instance, may provide habitat for insects and birds while also insulating the interior. Imagine a coastal village struck by a powerful storm. Relief teams arrive with flat-packed ecodome kits. Within days, sturdy round shelters rise from the rubble. Their shape resists the fierce winds that still sweep through the area. Solar panels on the roofs provide light and power for basic needs. As families move into these spaces, they find them surprisingly comfortable. The open, central area allows flexible use for sleeping, cooking, and gathering. Over time, some shelters are expanded into permanent homes, their materials adapted to local traditions. In this way, A modern technological solution connects with ancient patterns of community and resilience. The revival of round architecture shows how old ideas can gain new relevance. The circle offers efficiency, strength, and a sense of harmony that speak to both practical and emotional needs. In tiny houses, creative centers, luxury homes, and disaster relief projects, the same principles apply. Modern tools allow builders to create complex curves with precision, while ecological awareness drives the search for sustainable solutions. The result is a diverse range of structures that link past and present, showing that even in an age of steel and glass, the simple, enduring power of the circle still shapes how we build and how we live. The circle has never disappeared from human building, but its role has shifted through time. It returns again and again because it meets both practical and symbolic needs. A round form solves problems of strength, heat, and space, while also speaking to deep ideas about harmony and connection. People may not always think about these reasons, but they feel them. When a community gathers in a circle, or a family lives in a round home, they experience both physical comfort and a sense of unity that goes beyond structure alone. On a spiritual level, the circle represents completeness. With no beginning or end, it reflects the cycles of nature, day and night, the changing seasons, birth and death. Many ancient cultures saw the circle as a symbol of the universe itself. Building in this shape became a way to align human life with cosmic order. A round temple or sacred space gave people a physical link to something larger than themselves. Even in non-religious settings, the symbolism remains. A circular room feels balanced and centered. People sense this instinctively, whether they are standing beneath the dome of a cathedral or sitting around a campfire. The shape itself encourages calm and focus because it echoes patterns found in the natural world. These symbolic meanings are tied to very real physical advantages. A round building uses materials efficiently, enclosing more space with less wall. It stands firm against wind and shifting ground because there are no weak corners. The weight of the roof spreads evenly, reducing stress on any one point. These qualities were clear to early builders long before they understood the science. A stone tower or earthen hut that stayed upright through storms proved its value through experience. Even today, engineers rely on these same principles when designing structures to withstand earthquakes or hurricanes. The circle is not just beautiful, it is practical and resilient. The social benefits of circular spaces are just as important. When people gather in a circle, they can see one another clearly. No one sits at the edge, excluded from the group. This arrangement encourages listening and equality. Around a council fire, in a theater, or at a family table, the circle shapes how people interact. It creates a sense of shared purpose. In contrast, rectangular rooms tend to divide people into rows or corners, setting some apart from others. The social geometry of a circle supports cooperation. It brings individuals into a collective, whether they are making decisions, celebrating, or simply sharing a meal. This effect has been visible across time, from the longhouses of the Iroquois to modern arenas that hold thousands of spectators. Modern technology has made it easier and cheaper to build circular structures. In the past, curves required great skill and effort. Stones had to be shaped by hand, wooden beams bent through careful heating, and walls painstakingly aligned. Today, prefabrication allows builders to create round panels and components in factories, then transport and assemble them on-site. This process reduces waste and speeds construction. For example, a circular youth center or sports hall can now be built in weeks rather than years, with precise parts that fit together like pieces of a puzzle. The result is both efficient and cost-effective, encouraging more architects to consider round designs. Another breakthrough comes from 3D printing. Using large-scale printers, entire houses can now be built layer by layer with concrete or other materials. Circular forms are especially well suited to this process because the printer can move smoothly without stopping at sharp corners. This reduces stress on the machinery and creates a continuous stable wall. Some companies are already using 3D printing to produce small round homes for disaster relief or affordable housing. These structures can be built quickly and at low cost, bringing the benefits of circular design to communities in need. The technology also allows for custom features, such as built-in channels for wiring or insulation, making the homes both practical and adaptable. Advances in roofing have also supported the return of round buildings. Traditional domes and conical roofs required heavy materials and complex support systems. Modern lightweight composites and tension fabrics make it possible to span wide circular spaces without massive foundations. This has opened new possibilities for arenas, exhibition halls, and eco-friendly homes. Solar panels can now be curved to match the shape of a dome, turning the entire roof into a source of renewable energy. Green roofs with living plants can follow circular contours, blending buildings into their landscapes while providing insulation and habitat for wildlife. These innovations link ancient forms with contemporary environmental goals. Consider a modern circular home built with these techniques. The foundation is laid using minimal concrete, reducing its environmental impact. A 3D printer builds the walls in a continuous sweep, forming a strong, airtight shell. Prefabricated roof panels, designed to hold solar cells, are lifted into place by a small crew. Inside, the open floor plan flows naturally, with sleeping areas and workspaces arranged around a central living space. The round shape keeps heating and cooling needs low. Outside, rainwater collects in a circular gutter system that feeds into storage tanks. The result is a home that uses less energy and blends smoothly with its surroundings, built in a fraction of the time and cost of traditional construction. The return of circular design is also visible in public buildings. A modern arena may use steel and glass instead of stone, but its layout still reflects the same logic as the Colosseum. Seats rise in curves around a central field, ensuring clear views for all. The circular form supports sound, movement, and safety, just as it did in ancient times. What has changed is the precision with which these spaces can now be built. Digital modeling allows architects to test every angle and pathway before construction begins. The result is a building that performs well on every level, from crowd flow to acoustics. Even in small community projects, the circle brings value. A round pavilion in a park creates a welcoming space where people can gather without barriers. The shape invites entry from all sides and encourages interaction. When combined with sustainable materials and renewable energy systems, such structures show how old forms can meet modern needs. They demonstrate that circular architecture is not a relic of the past, but a living, evolving practice. The persistence of the circle in architecture comes from this blend of meaning and function. It speaks to the human spirit while solving practical problems. It draws people together socially while standing strong against the forces of nature. With modern tools like prefabrication, 3D printing, and advanced materials, it is now easier than ever to realize these designs. The circle keeps returning because it never stopped working. It continues to offer harmony, resilience, and connection in a world that still needs all three. The circle may be one of the oldest shapes used in human building, but it also points toward the future. As architects and engineers plan for challenges like space exploration, climate change, and growing cities, they return to the same form that once shaped ancient villages and temples. Circular structures are not just memories of the past. They are tools for solving problems that did not exist when the first campfires burned. In this way, the circle connects the earliest human shelters with the most advanced visions of tomorrow. When humans eventually live on Mars or other planets, round buildings will likely form the core of those colonies. A dome is the most efficient way to enclose a large space with minimal material, which is crucial when every resource must be transported across millions of miles. The curved walls distribute internal pressure evenly, which is vital in an environment where breathable air must be kept inside against a vacuum outside. Circular structures also perform well against external forces like meteor impacts or shifting ground. Engineers designing space habitats already use domes for these reasons. A Mars colony might begin as a cluster of linked domes, each with a specific role such as food production, living quarters, or research. The shared central space would echo the layout of ancient settlements where people gathered around a fire or meeting place. The circle would once again bring a community together. this time under an alien sky. The same principles apply to sustainable cities on Earth. As populations grow and resources become strained, urban planners need designs that are efficient, resilient, and adaptable. Circular buildings fit these goals. A round apartment tower, for example, can house more people with less wall material than a rectangular one of the same size. Its shape also allows for natural light to reach deeper into the building, reducing the need for artificial lighting. Circular layouts work well for public spaces too. Parks, marketplaces, and transportation hubs built in round forms can manage movement smoothly, avoiding bottlenecks and wasted space. These benefits make circular architecture attractive for eco-friendly urban planning. Imagine a city district built around a central circular plaza. From this hub, radial streets extend like spokes on a wheel. Homes and businesses cluster in curved rows, blending with green spaces and water systems. The layout encourages walking and cycling rather than car traffic. Renewable energy systems, such as solar panels and wind turbines, are integrated into the circular structures. The result is a living pattern that balances density with openness, reflecting both natural forms and modern sustainability needs. This kind of design links ancient village layouts with advanced urban systems, showing how the circle adapts to new scales and technologies. Modern software has made it easier to design complex circular forms. In the past, creating a precise dome or curved wall required years of experience and trial and error. Now, parametric design tools allow architects to model every detail digitally before construction begins. These programs use algorithms to adjust shapes automatically based on specific goals, such as energy efficiency or material use. A designer can change one variable, and the software instantly updates the entire structure. This flexibility encourages experimentation and innovation. It also allows architects to return to ancient forms with fresh insight, combining the proven strengths of circular design with cutting-edge techniques. Artificial intelligence is beginning to play a role in this process. AI systems can analyze vast amounts of data about materials, climate, and human behavior. By processing this information, they can suggest building shapes that balance many factors at once. In some cases, AI-generated designs resemble natural patterns, such as shells or honeycombs, which often include curves and circular motifs. These results echo the solutions that early humans discovered through observation and tradition. The difference is that now the process happens at digital speed and with far greater precision. This partnership between ancient form and modern intelligence points toward a future where circular architecture is both timeless and technologically advanced. The circle's endurance comes from its ability to serve both human needs and natural forces. It brings people together socially while also resisting wind, weight, and pressure. These qualities will matter even more in extreme environments like space or disaster zones. A dome on Mars must keep its inhabitants alive by holding in air and warmth. A flood-resistant roundhouse on Earth must protect a family from rising waters and storms. In both cases, the same principles apply. The circle works because it spreads stress evenly and uses resources wisely. It is a universal answer to diverse challenges. Consider a future Mars settlement. New arrivals step through an airlock into a vast shared dome. Above them, a transparent roof filters sunlight while shielding against radiation. Around the edges are private living quarters, laboratories, and storage areas. In the center, plants grow in carefully managed gardens, providing food and oxygen. The layout mirrors a pattern found in countless villages throughout history. Private spaces around a communal heart. Even though the materials are advanced composites and the environment is otherworldly, the logic is ancient. The circle still serves as the most natural way to organize human life. Back on Earth, similar principles shape experimental eco-villages. In some regions, communities are building circular neighborhoods using 3D printed walls and prefabricated domes. These villages often include renewable energy systems built directly into the structures. Rainwater collection, solar power, and natural ventilation all work together, reducing dependence on outside systems. The circular form supports these functions, just as it did for yurts, igloos, and other traditional homes. The difference lies in scale and technology. Where past builders relied on hand tools and local materials, modern teams use robotics and digital modeling. Yet the outcome feels familiar because the underlying geometry has not changed. The circle also continues to shape large-scale public architecture. Sports arenas, theaters, and cultural centers still use round layouts to manage crowds and focus attention. What has evolved is the way these buildings are planned and constructed. AI and parametric tools allow for more precise calculations of sightlines, acoustics, and crowd flow. Lightweight materials make it possible to span greater distances without massive supports. These advances mean that circular buildings can grow larger and more efficient while maintaining their core advantages. The path from a tribal fire to an interplanetary habitat is long, but the shape at the center remains the same. People gather around heat and light, whether that comes from burning wood or a carefully controlled greenhouse beneath a dome. The circle represents continuity across time and space. It links ancient builders stacking stones with engineers programming robotic printers. It connects the shared meals of a village to the shared tasks of a space crew. As humans face new frontiers, the circle remains a guide. It shows how form and function can align, how symbolism and utility can merge. In the future, circular design will not only persist, but expand. It offers solutions for sustainable cities, space exploration, and resilient communities. Its ability to adapt makes it as relevant to tomorrow's challenges as it was to the needs of the past. The circle will continue to appear wherever humans seek balance between technology and tradition, between survival and meaning. It will shape habitats under alien skies and neighborhoods on Earth, carrying forward an ancient idea into worlds yet to come.